A very good morning and welcome to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausjis, in our studio here at Bernama. And in the studios with us today, we have with us Professor Dr. Faiza Idrus, and she is from the Faculty of Education at IIUM, and we will be discussing the state of the English language in Malaysia today. All right, welcome to the studios.
Let me just correct you, I'm not a professor yet.
Not a professor yet, sorry about that. Dr. Faiza.
Yes.
All right, how are you today, Doctor?
Good, alhamdulillah, and how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. All right, so before we get started about this, I think, very pivotal and interesting discussion, tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional background with regards to English education.
Right. All right, thank you. Let me just say something about my background. When I had my primary and secondary education, the system was all in Malay, in Bahasa. So let's say somebody says it's because of the education system that people or students are not actually proficient in the English language. I think we have to reserve that because
you would beg to differ.
I would beg to differ because I had my education in Convent Central and secondary in a normal school, and even though that time almost everyone spoke English, but coming from a family who did not, my parents did not speak any word of English.
Okay. Yes, that's a common lament, I think, amongst the Malaysian public. They just say, oh, you know, it's difficult because the schooling system is currently mostly in Malay. So how do our kids learn?
Right. Okay. So let me just recall my time during my school time. I did not speak English as well. I refused to, even though probably I wanted to, but I refused to because I had this a kind of I'm not good enough to speak.
A little bit of a complex shyness.
Yes, shyness. I'm not confident, and I was forced to do things, and I didn't want to speak English at all. But everything changed when I actually applied to become a Bahasa Melayu teacher at that time, and then
that's an interesting turn of events.
And during the interview was saying, "Can you speak English?" I said yes. So he gave me a topic for me to talk about, and then at the end of the interview, and the man said, "We'll give you this English program. Would you like to take it?" I said, why not?
Why not? Yes, rise to the challenge.
So and then I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to go abroad to have my first degree, master's degree, and PhD. And I think that was where I have picked up on the language. I'm not saying that everybody should go, but we have all the facilities. We have all the experts in Malaysia.
Yes, the opportunities are everywhere.
It's just that rural versus urban. Probably that is the dilemma that we are facing at the moment. But I'm not saying that the rural, let's say, students are not able to speak. And you will be surprised when you come to a few of them are very proficient. And I am intrigued on how they can actually pick up the language when they have got very little facilities in the rural areas.
Yes, one would think their access level is really limited.
But
I think we might be discounting personal effort.
That's right.
Exactly. So they might be a lot more motivated to do well in English, for example.
Basically, it's not where.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, it's about how.
True. I think you've hit the nail on the head with that. Right. Okay. So you progressed from completing your degree as well as your master's and then your doctorate, and currently you're with IIUM.
Yes, I am. I have been in IIUM for around 17 years.
All right. Okay. And now looking at it from the grassroots level, what do you find the student populace like at IIUM itself? What is their level of proficiency like in English?
In IIUM itself, because the name is International Islamic University.
That's
so
right.
we have about 30% of international students. But
Right.
the 30% students coming to IIUM, most of them are not proficient.
Right.
And I've got my experience teaching before I was in education, Faculty of Education. I was at the Language Center.
I see.
And I came across, I had to teach students coming from, for example, from Russia.
Yes.
Who did not even know how to write Roman alphabet. They are writing a Cyrillic.
I understand.
So,
That's
at the
right.
age of, for example, 16, 17, 18, no, 17, 18, 19,
Yes,
they are not
pre-university
able,
already.
pre-university, they are not able to write Roman alphabet. So those are some of the challenges that the lecturers at the Language Center
Right.
are facing.
Exactly.
So, but you will be surprised at the end of the day,
Right.
the students will be so fluent. And how did they actually grasp that language in a very short period?
Yes, because also the general perspective is a child, an individual who is younger, the better it is for you to pick up the language.
Yes, in
Right.
psycholinguistics, it's the younger you learn a
Exactly.
language,
That's what they tell us all.
the better.
True.
But then I would like to probably challenge that.
Yes.
Because from my experience of teaching these students, I said, wow, they are marvelous. You know, they really can catch up, because
Exactly.
the one thing that they have is the inner self, the motivation that they have.
Right.
I want to excel in the language.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that is something that we can now, looking at the Malaysian perspective,
Yes.
now what would you say are Malaysia's challenges in becoming an English-speaking nation?
Right.
We've got foreign students by literally, coming in hordes to learn English, and a lot of them leave proficient, fluent, and move on to
Yeah.
greener pastures, for
That's
example.
right.
Now, what about our Malaysian students?
Right. So, Malaysian students, we are actually complacent.
Right.
We are very complacent with our status, English as a second language.
Right.
Right. And then we, as a country, we are a diverse we have a diverse set of people.
That's right.
Yeah, the rural, the urban, the remote. We have cultural differences and, things like that, because we are a multicultural country.
Exactly.
So the problems are not the same.
True.
Right?
I mean, for example, we have 137 living languages.
That's right.
In the whole of, Peninsula as well as Sabah and Sarawak, and only 41 of those are found on Peninsula, English being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
However, the penetration of English, I would say, is still really low.
Okay, so let's look at perhaps our education system, especially in the English language teaching and learning.
That's right.
So we have moved back and forth with,
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, with the English language teaching. So I'm not blaming anybody, but we have to brace ourselves with all the changes.
That's right.
And keep pace on what happened. So we cannot say, oh, because of this, I'm not able to speak. But then,
Right.
because I think the Minister of Education is doing all they can to actually tackle the dilemmas that they are facing on with, in this area, for example, in Sabah,
Right.
in Sarawak, we have different types of dilemma, the teaching, the facilities,
Yes.
probably motivation is low, not even even in KL.
Yes, even in KL, itself,
because
even in the urban centers.
My area, IIUM is in Gombak,
Right.
and we have got with the population around Gombak. If you come and speak to them, they are able to understand. But I mean, some of them probably are not. They're
Yes.
reluctant.
I would say that is the main challenge. English is widely understood in Malaysia, true enough.
Yes.
But whether it is widely spoken, and especially in the correct manner,
Correct.
especially British English, which is what our background is, I don't know about that.
Right. That is one other thing that I always reminded my students, because I train English language teachers.
Right.
Right. So some of them, because they are very young and they come in like very American, but
Right, there
and,
you go.
because and I asked some of them, where did you pick that accent? I say, oh, from I don't know. Probably it's from television,
yes,
or
TV shows,
internet,
music, etc.
So I don't mind whether or not you are taking, you have a British American accent. You have to be consistent.
Yes, speaking properly,
Yes.
that is key.
Yes.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a quick break, and once we're back, we'll be talking more to Dr. Faiza about the challenges facing the English language, especially in Malaysia. Stay with us.
Isu semasa dan terkini industri kreatif tanah air. Perkembangan muzik tempatan, lensa anak seni, aksi layar perak, tanpa gosip dan sensasi, semuanya disisipkan selama setengah jam dalam Tedi Sini, bukan sekadar hiburan. Setiap Sabtu, jam 12.30 tengah hari, hanya di Bernama TV.
Kavita, Meling, dah set ke belum?
Sikit je lagi, Puan.
Apa menu kita hari ni?
Semua menu sihat. Ikan bakar, sup ayam, sayur-sayuran. Banyaklah.
Puan, banyaknya guna minyak. Bahayakan kesihatan lah.
Betul lah macam ni. Saya dah kurangkan separuh dari biasa ni.
Cuba rasa ni. Sedap tak?
Biar kurang masin, jangan lebih.
Betul tu. Kita kena kurangkan minyak, gula,
Garam dan santan dalam masakan. Barulah ramai pelanggan datang ke kedai kita.
Semuanya
sihat belaka.
Menyelami realiti, menjejaki masa, meninjau peristiwa, paparan kronikal kembara kehidupan, pelbagai keunikan juga pengalaman menarik. Segalanya disorotkan selama setengah jam dalam channel Bernama setiap Ahad jam 9.30 malam hanya di Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, and in the studios we have with us today Dr. Faiza Idrus from the Faculty of Education at IIUM. So, Doctor, as we were talking about the challenges which face Malaysia in becoming an English-speaking nation.
Okay, so let's go back to because probably I will narrow it down to what the scope of my responsibility. Probably it may or may not, apply to others. I'm not sure, but these are the things that I can foresee or were the challenges. Okay, one is perhaps the teachers themselves.
Right. Okay. Good point.
Yeah. The teachers. I'm looking at pre-service teachers who are going to be teachers,
right?
And also, I'm looking at teachers who have had the experience,
yes,
and
who have been in the system for a while,
and probably the first 2 years are they are very excited, but it will,
that enthusiasm, where does it go?
With the amount of work they have in school, it will drain out the energy and as well as their motivation.
True enough.
And I feel that we need to do something to actually bring back or increase the motivation for these teachers. And one thing that, because we have a system whereby we rely on assessment. We are a very exam-based nation.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And I think that is rather natural for anything that comes from a British-based English system.
I think British has moved away from that.
They have moved away, but we, the Commonwealth,
we are still there.
We're still there.
Due to that, because we are so exam-based, and the pressure on teachers to actually produce results.
Definitely.
And they have to report to the probably the principal. The principal has to report to the probably the ministry or the Jabatan Pendidikan.
Yes,
and
that's
then
right.
they have their KPIs.
Exactly. You need to meet your, you know.
That's the problem. And I think because I do some research and I look around and I ask teachers why they are probably less motivated than before.
Right.
And many of them said that, you know, we have too much to do and we have to finish the syllabus.
That's right.
That is the main hindrance of creativity and getting the students to speak.
Yes, to actually understand what it is that they're, you know, memorizing by rote.
The students are very mechanic. So you do this, you do that. This is how you actually tackle exam question. Where is the space that we need for the students to actually grow in terms of language? So I think that is the main. I don't want to say the main dilemma that the teachers are facing, but teachers have got.
Yes, but it would be the chief focus.
Their hands are tight.
Exactly.
Their hands are tight. So, and the other thing is textbook materials that we're using.
Right.
So we have to look into the materials. Some schools, they use textbooks, rely so much on textbooks. Well, we have to use the textbooks, but I think what we do is textbook is a means.
Yes, it's a means, and I think there's also been a lot of controversy amongst parents and especially the online community about so-called very badly proofread, you know, textbook copies and etc. So of course that is one part of the enforcement. But what about the daily usage? Teachers need to be better trained, I feel.
Yes, that's right, and we have to know that textbook is very it is a powerful tool.
Yes, a tool. I think that is key.
Yes,
that is key.
It's a powerful tool if the teachers are able to actually extract the content, and teachers have to be creative. You know, not exercise 1, do exercise 2, and that's it, and homework. So we do not want that. And one other thing is the content of the material, because we are a we are of a diverse culture.
True.
Probably I would like to see some because probably Sabah and Sarawak will have some kind. They should have a little bit of given the autonomy to inject some of the culture into the materials themselves, and we here, you know, vice versa.
Yes, vice versa, just so that it's a nice balance.
That's right. So
I mean, language is the biggest proponent in how you are aware about your surroundings.
That's right. And I feel that the textbook that we have, especially English language textbook, is very bland. So we need to have more interesting materials in the textbook. I'm talking about probably because there is a literature component in English language teaching.
Definitely.
And that is, to me, that is it's something that we should embrace and students should enjoy. But when I ask students, when it comes to literature, no.
Yes, if they hate English, they despise literature.
That's right.
So that's a sad, that's a really sorry state, I believe.
Why is that? Literature is something that you should enjoy.
Yes. And I think they just have this mental block, perhaps. So mental blocks and all of these aside, how do you think that parents, for example, can also assist in helping their children overcome this mental block?
Right. So that's another big challenge. If a student comes from a family, you know, English-speaking family, that would be quite all right. But many of our students come from a family, you know, the parents do not speak English and they don't know English, and this is where the school has to reach out to the community.
Right. So each school is responsible for its little community.
Yeah, probably they can invite parents and tell them the importance of English language, and universities. I mean, universities can be a feeder to that, you know, because we have experts in the university, and we should reach out to schools, and school can reach out to parents.
True, rather than just waiting for the children to make the transition to university level.
And we need the parents to open up to the idea that English is as important.
Yes,
because
as the national language.
English language is the language that has speakers exceeding a native speaker.
Right, there you go.
Yeah,
exactly.
So now
that's telling indeed.
Yeah. So how is that not important? Probably some say, okay, we look at Japan, we look at Korea, they don't use English, but do we know that they are actually reaching out to people, to native speaking countries, to
actually come in, and teach them English.
Yes, that's right.
And also, I think we've got a high proportion of international students from Korea and Japan, especially learning English here.
That's right.
Exactly. So the future generations, in that sense, are taken care of with English fluency.
We should be, we should be thankful that English is our second language.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. I mean, we're already in an advantageous position.
Yes.
The challenge now, I believe, is to further that and to ensure the future.
So about the parents just now. So
yes.
I think we are not asking them to start speaking English at home.
Right. Yes.
But we do it, phase by phase.
Yeah, increments. Yes.
Yeah. So probably one big thing to do is to let the school decide how they could reach out to the community, to parents, and perhaps this is the platform where parents and teachers and students and the school community can interact.
Right. Yes, it's a chance for them to also discuss what is really wrong at the base level. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the governmental initiatives that are trying to help with the standard of English. Of course, as we all know, until 1969, English was the main language of communication, especially in governmental-based issues. And then we had the institution of the PPSMI policy in 2003. Now, this was actually something good because it at least ensured English and, for example, maths and science were taught in English. Now, since 2012, we've had a lot of debate, a lot of back and forth.
Correct.
So how is the government coping with this?
Right. So if we look at the Plan Pembangunan Pendidikan, 2013 to 2025, it is already clear that the government are making a lot of effort in terms of helping teachers, schools, students to heighten the ability to speak English. One of the program that the government is doing right now is to actually retrain 70,000 teachers.
70,000.
This is primary school teachers, and they have to sit for a test so that we are able to gauge whether or not these teachers are actually proficient enough.
Their proficiency first before they can actually be allowed to go into the classroom.
Yeah, so that is ongoing. And if, let's say, should the teacher fail to do so, they are given another chance to sit for the exam. And I think this is a very good move to actually not only teachers who have 10 years or 15 years experience, we have to also look at the teachers who have been in the system for 20 years and more.
Oh yes, indeed. I mean, we've got a lot of veteran teachers, excellent teachers.
Excellent teachers.
Yes, but the fact remains whether or not they are sufficiently proficient in the language, English.
So that is one ongoing program, that is the initiative, and still ongoing. And then the other thing is the importing or bringing in
as we were discussing before,
native speakers to actually facilitate, not teach, facilitate teachers in primary school, and to actually be like a mentor to teachers. I've got students
sort of like in-house trainers in a sense.
Yeah, whether or not that is successful remains
to be seen.
Because I've got two differing ideas or perceptions towards that. Because some were saying that, why don't we utilize our own experts in the country instead of bringing in native speakers? Probably they don't have teaching background.
Yes, that
they
is
have
one.
the language, they don't have teaching background.
True.
Okay, and we have experts. I mean, those who have retired, we can call them back.
Yes,
and
true.
These are the teachers who have a whole lot of experience.
Right.
I think we should,
we should actually make it a point to highlight them first.
Right.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a short break, and when we're back, we'll be talking more about the challenges facing the English language in Malaysia. Stay with us.
Halo, apa kabar pemirsa? Salam dari Jakarta. Sebuah program kerjasama Kantor Berita Indonesia Antara dengan Kantor Berita Malaysia bernama kembali hadir menjumpai Anda.
Sedar tak kita tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, keadaan iklim yang tak menentu sekarang ni. Perubahan iklim meningkatkan kejadian kemarau, derebu, banjir dan ia menyumbang kepada perubahan iklim yang berlaku secara drastik. Inilah dia faktor-faktornya. Yang pertama, asap dari kenderaan. Yang kedua, penebangan dan pembakaran hutan. Yang ketiga, pembebasan asap dari industri perkilangan. Dan yang keempat, pelupusan sisa buangan. Ini usaha yang Pak Abu buat, iaitu yang pertama, menanam pokok. Yang kedua, mengurangkan atau tidak menggunakan beg plastik. Yang ketiga, mengasingkan bahan buangan. Yang keempat, mengitar semula bahan buangan. Dan yang kelima, memilih barangan dari bahan kitar semula. Ada banyak lagi usaha yang boleh kita lakukan. Antaranya, kurangkan pemanduan kereta persendirian dan banyakkan penggunaan kenderaan awam.
Anda adalah sebahagian daripada penyelesaiannya.
Menongkah batasan masa, mengupas isu semasa, jadi saluran pelbagai suara, segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're with me, Tamina Kausji, and Dr. Faiza Idrus from the Faculty of Education, IIUM, in the studios today. All right, Dr. Faiza. So as we were talking about the challenges and the governmental initiatives to actually help out to improve the English level in the country, you were talking about native speakers being brought in and how you think that it would be better to utilize local experts. All right, so aside from that, what is your perspective about any other positive initiatives by the government?
Right. Probably what I'm going to say is about it will incur quite a bit of cost. So
Yes.
let me just relate to my experience. I was a primary school teacher teaching English in school.
I see.
And at that time, I think my English wasn't as not up to the level. I can actually
not up to par
not
in
up
your
to
own
par.
perspective.
So,
Okay.
during that time, the government had the initiative of sending teachers
Right.
abroad. So I think that was a very good move. But as we know that we have experts, but for me, the experience I had abroad when I was already a teacher,
Right.
and being sent over to actually attain and to learn something new, and we are there to actually use the language, and I think that is a very, I'm not sure whether they have, the Minister of Education has done research on whether that was a success, but I
Right.
think
Yeah.
my
Personally
experience,
speaking.
yes, it
Right.
was a very good move when most of the of us who did not have exposure, we went abroad to the UK, and I think we brought back some good experience.
Yes.
And here I am.
I think especially language-wise, immersion is what counts
yes,
most
immersion,
importantly.
yes, that's right. But taking into consideration about the cost, and I think it incurs a huge amount of cost.
That's right.
We can bring in 4 teachers, bring in 1 or 2.
Yes, perhaps bring them over here instead and allow them to conduct programs.
But then the thing is, when one or two come, when they come over, not everybody will have the benefit.
Yes, true. The opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity to actually speak.
Right.
That's one. Okay. The other one is probably what the government has done is to actually engage English teachers, English lecturers to actually concentrate on the soft skills.
Right, yes, soft skills.
I think soft skill is
I think soft skills are lacking.
Absolutely. Because we don't have a specific soft skills for example, SPM leavers.
Yes, exactly. According to the Deputy Prime Minister's recent comment, where he actually said, university students, they are still struggling with English.
Correct.
And in his own words, there must be something wrong somewhere. So I think our quest is to really uncover what is wrong and how to fix it, not just to find out.
Right. Okay. So one thing is the soft skill, but when we go back to classroom, for example,
yes,
during the English language lessons, many students are not interested because they are disengaged.
True
Why
enough.
are students disengaged? What made them not interested in the language and become disengaged? There are many reasons for that. We are not talking about students only. Teachers can be disengaged as well.
True enough, especially something like language, which needs to be vibrant and vital.
Correct.
So,
and this is my own experience going to school and looking at trainee teachers teach, and I can see that you have to be creative with the language. We have to be creative with your lesson. But then we are going to go back to the teachers who we're going to say, no, we cannot do that because
this and this.
Yes. We have the time constraint. We have to finish the syllabus and blah blah blah.
Yes, it's almost like finishing a marathon rather than
but,
taking a journey.
We do not want students to become disengaged because once they
once
they are
you've
not
shut
there,
off your mind, it's very hard to get through.
Right?
True.
So we need to do something about making the English lessons more interesting.
Yes.
And I think there's one writer or one researcher who said, who talked about pedagogies of engagement. How powerful is the result when the students are really engaged in a lesson. So we want that.
Exactly.
But whether or not we can achieve that, that's another matter.
Right.
So to be able, before you can have soft skills, you can have all the workshops on English language, but if the students are not motivated, they are forced to do it.
Right. If they don't feel like there's a means to this end. So how do we also communicate to students, to young Malaysians, that English really is important?
Yes.
And not just understanding, but speaking.
They will come to realize only when they apply for a job.
Exactly.
And when they were turned down.
Exactly, because for example, you might be bumbling in an interview, even though you've got all the confidence inside, but you're not able to communicate it because of the language you're operating in. So how do we, what would your suggestions be for students themselves to improve their language skills?
Okay.
What can they do outside of the school as well as home atmosphere for themselves?
So we know that students are very interested and very IT savvy.
That's right.
That
Kids
is another
days.
tool to enable them to grasp the language. For example, children are so crazy about anime.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
And anime is in English.
Right. Yes.
They
translate it into English. Yes.
That is, I think, one of the ways. I'm not recommending, but since they are interested in IT, they are interested social media, you name it, all the IT gadgets, they are very interested in that. Why don't we actually focus on that?
Right.
But the thing is, now we have language labs in school. But are teachers utilizing the language labs?
Yes, That is one question, and I think another very bringing back to the point of being internet savvy and etc. I would like to raise the issue of Manglish, or what is Malaysianized English, and I think not just the youngsters. I think even Malaysian adults and beyond, we are all up to a certain degree responsible and guilty of using Manglish when we should be using proper English.
Right.
So how do we overcome this? How do we...
Okay, let me... I did a little research on Manglish, actually.
Right.
So, I would not say do away with Manglish.
Right.
Because Manglish can be spoken with proper structure and grammar.
Right.
Okay? So people have this perception on Manglish is a total, it's not grammatically correct. People can speak Manglish with correct grammar. Why not? That is one of our, image. I'm not saying that we have to speak Queen's English in Malaysia. Can we? No.
That would be a completely different issue as well.
And then if you tend to speak the British language, people will look at you.
Yes, what we want is proper English.
Proper English.
Not so much accented English or Queen's English, etc., but proper English.
Proper English. Yes. We can add the la and the whatever we want.
Yes, that's the local flavour of it.
Yeah, local flavour, that is our identity as Malaysian, because I actually conducted a research with Form 4 students around KL.
Okay.
And
what did you find?
When we talk about Malaysian identity.
Right.
So what is the identity? And most of us say Manglish. It's really surprising that Manglish is our identity. There's Manglish. What kind of Manglish? When we speak with our, we have some or two words from Hokkien, from Tamil, from Malay in one sentence. Why not? As long as we know that we are speaking grammatically correct sentence.
Right. Yes.
So.
There you go. Yes, so you can't take the Manglish out, but what you can do is use the local flavor with correct grammar.
Yeah, so we're not saying that we have to start using Manglish in our textbook. No.
And now what about students who say, all right, yes, I'm proud to speak Manglish, but the problem comes with speaking proper English. I clam up. I can't perform. I don't know what to say. I've had that from a lot of friends, even my own age, who are attempting to learn how to speak proper English for the first time. How do young people, kids, children, how do we get over this?
Okay, so we have to go back to the exposure again.
Right.
So the exposure is very important. How much exposure do you have, and how confident are you? How much is your vocabulary? So the one thing that people start to cringe when or not be able to communicate well is the lack of vocabulary.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So how do you actually increase your vocabulary? It's by reading. Do students read?
Yes, time and time again. Every education expert I've spoken to, reading.
Yes.
Malaysians don't quite read enough. No, we don't.
We can ask any students from any school, how many books do you read in a year? Hardly. Hardly.
Yes.
So without vocabulary or without reading, you would not be able to increase your vocabulary.
That's right. And you're stunted.
Yeah, I know, because my vocabulary wasn't that much, but what I did, nobody would do this.
Right, but what did you do? Yes, just so
dictionary
that we know.
is my friend.
All right.
I didn't have at that time. I didn't have thesaurus, online thesaurus, which is very
common these days. Yes.
I only, for example, learn 2 new words a day.
Right.
Not only learning new words and the meaning, I try to use it.
Right.
To use these words. Okay, how do I use these new words? Sometimes my sisters will be laughing at me.
Right.
What are you trying to say?
Okay. Yes.
Try these new words, and whether or not when you know the meaning and you want to try it in your conversation.
Right.
I'm not saying that I'm trying to use this because I want to have this image. No. But
you're almost forcing yourself to use it in a logical manner so that you remember it.
Yeah, and especially when you have this vocabulary, you improve your writing.
Very true.
Without reading
expression,
you won't be able to improve on your writing.
Right. Yes.
So
yes,
I've been telling my own students time and time again. I even lend my books to them. Please have a go with all my books. And nobody.
Read.
No, they can come to my office and borrow any books they like, but hardly anyone came.
Right, and I think that should be something that's implemented even in the local primary schools, for example.
We have
access
e-books.
to more books. Yes,
we have e-books.
Yes, but basically use the new vocabulary that you acquire.
So, probably people will say, learning from dictionary, what is that?
Or just pick 10 words out today, try and use them, and let's see how you are in a month.
Yeah, don't be too ambitious.
Right, yes.
3 or 4 words in a month?
Yes,
that's
start off small.
Yeah,
start off small. Okay, all right. So there you go. So that's for the students out there as well as parents who are wondering what can be done to improve your language.
Correct.
All right. Okay, now let's move on to how important do you think the fluency in English is for the future of our Malaysian generation that are currently in school?
Right, okay, so this is actually about fluency versus accuracy. Which one do we want?
Okay, all right. So let's distinguish first between fluency versus accuracy.
A fluent person does not necessarily have accuracy in terms of writing.
Okay.
All right. So an accurate person, a person who has a flair in writing, does not necessarily speak well. So which one do we want? Fluency or accuracy? Of course, we want to have both.
Yes,
right?
that's right.
But for our students, which one do we want to emphasize more? The fluency or accuracy? But when we go back to the system again, we are exam-based, and of course, what is tested is on your writing, right?
Exactly. So when we come back after the break, we'll focus more about which one do we want? Is it fluency or is it accuracy? Stay with us.
Terima kasih. Sama-sama. Terima kasih. Sama-sama.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama.
Terima kasih.
Sama-sama.
Sama-sama.
Satu cerita, satu bangsa, satu Malaysia.
Menongkah batasan masa, mengupas isu semasa, jadi saluran pelbagai suara, segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, and Dr. Faiza Idris, and we've been talking about the state of the English language in Malaysia today. So, Doctor, as we were talking about, how ready is the Malaysian workforce or the youth who are still in school and university for coming out and speaking English?
Right. Okay. So, in terms of readiness, it varies.
Right.
In terms of the kind of career path that you or the students are going to be to select. All right. But generally, when it comes to English language speaking, it is much to be desired.
Yes, I mean only 21% of our population actually speaks English, meaning which around 5.5 million out of 27 odd million with any fluency or accuracy at all.
So what does that tell?
Exactly. What does that imply for the future?
So I think students would have to think about the career path, not only career path, ways in which they can actually when they are going for promote themselves. And one way of doing that is to have fluency.
Yes, grow as an individual.
Yeah, you have to grow, and because you have to make lasting impression when you go for interviews.
That's right. And I think any language is a benefit.
Yes.
It doesn't matter which language it is, but English especially is so pertinent.
And of course the Minister of Education is in 2000, I think after the first wave, they are going to concentrate on other languages like Tamil and Mandarin and also Arabic.
Right.
So now English has got to go first.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So we have to build a nation who can actually speak English. At the same time, we are going to be diversified in terms of languages.
Yes, because we are a diverse nation.
We are a diverse nation, and we can bring in, for example, next time, Kadazan Dusun, Iban.
Exactly. Why not?
Why not?
It's essential.
Right? So it's very important for those who are seeking for a job to be. If you are not confident with the English language, how are you going to build up this confidence?
That's right.
With that, building up confidence is one thing. You have to build up the knowledge of English. And
most students especially, I often find when I talk to students, when I talk to young Malaysians who may not be proficient, they're scared. They're scared to make mistakes and look silly.
Okay, so that is one thing that we want to discard. Making mistake, very afraid, or they are afraid to make mistake. I always tell my students, you come to class, this is where you make mistake. And when you go out of the classroom, you know that the mistake will not be repeated.
Exactly.
So do not be afraid to make mistakes in terms of when you speak to your friend, because this is one thing that is actually hindering them from speaking. They're actually very afraid to be ridiculed.
Right. But I think one needs to break the knees of a language literally to learn it.
Yes.
Yes.
So we and the other thing is for the other person who is listening to be able to tell or comment that is wrong. So normally when a person makes a mistake, the listener will not say, I think there's something wrong in that sentence.
Yes.
Nobody would say that because they're afraid to offend.
Yes, or maybe it's just the Asian
correct.
It's culture. You think it's being polite, but as you say, if you want to learn, you need to be willing to point out as well as speak up.
That's right. But we need to start interacting. We need to actually be brave enough to say that is wrong.
Yes, that's right. And also we need to be brave enough to speak up.
That's right.
And remember that classrooms are safe spaces.
Yes,
correct. All right. Now, let's move on to what I think is one of the biggest implications so far. What do you think would be the far-reaching impact of making English a compulsory pass by 2016 as what has been planned?
Right. So
this is where we stand today. It is 2015, January.
It is a big dilemma.
That's right.
But we have to move somewhere. All right. For example, we have the Ministry of Education has made history a compulsory pass.
Right.
All right. And what is it? Probably it's still very early to tell the implication. But when you ask students, they know about the history. You know, not right before.
Yes.
To them, independence is just, you know, celebration.
Exactly,
you know,
a public holiday.
Yeah, public holiday.
Yes, but to delve deeper.
Yeah, so it's the same thing with English.
Right.
But we have to be ready. We have to be ready in terms of, teachers, in terms of facilities.
Right.
We are not only talking about people in urban, suburban, rural areas. There are people at the remote areas that would need the same attention.
That's
and
right.
they are going to have to be facing SPM, a compulsory pass, and they have never seen an English language teacher.
I mean, that's an enormous.
Yeah,
it's an enormous thing.
That is a huge thing. So, what we're doing now, probably this is the baby step that we are making today.
Right.
Not really baby step, but we are making progress in terms of, having English teachers everywhere.
Right.
So
yes.
We have access of teachers in, for example, Bahasa, history, but we still need English language teachers, and especially so when come 2016. And number one, parents will be. Parents is
yes. I think parents' paranoia is running at an all-time high. You've got urban parents who are extremely worried. What about rural parents in remote areas?
And parents will start, sending their children to tuition center.
Yes,
so that's another point that the whole lot of point to be discussed. But then, to make English a compulsory. English will be a compulsory pass by 2016. So we have to brace ourselves and embrace that.
That's right. Okay, so to sum things up, English is coming in, and in a big way. So to prepare ourselves for 2016 is going to take effort from not only the parents, the teachers, the government itself that is already doing a lot, but the students, most importantly.
Okay, so we need to actually,
pull up our socks and just get down to the job.
Get down to it.
Right. Okay. So thank you so much for being with us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
You've been lovely. All right. So we've been here with Dr. Faiza Idrus from the Faculty of Education at IIUM. I am Tamina Kausji, and thank you so much for joining us here on The Nation today. We'll see you again next time.